At the corner of Palmer Park Boulevard and Bates Drive sits a little food cart. And inside, you'll find a sweet German woman sizzling up some schnitzel.
So that's almost done. Been in the States for numerous years. U.S. citizen, but still proud to be German and try to keep my German inheritance going.
Sonia grew up in a small town in Germany.
From the time I was little, my mom, was not really, had a lot of money, but it was always a treat to go to the Imbiss.
Imbisses are about everywhere in Germany. They're street food stands, usually tiny and family-owned and operated.
Home fries, made from scratch. Even people who were poor, who couldn't go to restaurants, sit down, expensive places, they always went to an Imbiss. German Kaiserroll every day.
Kind of like fast food, but with fresh, locally sourced ingredients.
I had no idea that there was vegetables in cans till I came to the United States.
Sonia moved here to Colorado Springs in 1987.
What can I do for you?
Since then, it's been her dream to share her German heritage with others.
That's the brats with home fries.
This past May, that dream came true when she opened her very own Imbiss.
I did the main food, what I grew up with in the Imbiss in Germany. And they're still the main food.
Sonia's hidden German gem is only open Thursday through Saturday because this is just a side hustle. She also works at a local hospital.
And I always tell my husband, if I ever sit down and don't do anything, you better start worrying about it.
She says the hard work is all worth it because she's sharing the culture of her homeland in every bite.
Welcome to Germany for 5 minutes. My dream came true. Right now, my dream came true.
Show how much
Can
you
I
love
get a
Sonia.
hug?
Yeah, buddy, I got you.
Oh,
Give her a real hug. Show her how much you
I love you. Okay, see you later.
Is this your first time seeing it?
You've seen them before.
I like my art to be seen.
Many people just walk on by.
Art is my passion, and I like working large.
Murals in Colorado Springs.
The big one is the Warehouse restaurant, Port Richards, and the backside of the mezzanine.
And all over the world.
Last year I was in Saudi Arabia, and the year before that in Egypt.
Another going up
Sweet.
at Sacred Grounds in Colorado Springs.
Just do a little paint.
Douglas Rouse is the man behind the brush.
The texture of that building is the roughest I've been on. And the nice thing, later in the day when the sun comes, it warms me up, but it casts shadows and makes it nearly impossible to work.
Stroke by stroke.
Chasing the sunshine.
Day by day.
Put in like 4 or 5 hours a day. That's about all I can get in.
Attention to detail.
So the type of work that I do is called trompe-l'oeil, and it is a French word for fool the eye. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm fooling people that there's actual architectural elements there, and I'm doing that simply with light and shadow.
It's a masterpiece in the making that could take weeks or months to complete.
Thank you.
This Spartan racer is one tough cookie.
It's pretty cool to see my name in the top.
You have to be to compete in races like this, but Kim Butcher is even tougher than she looks. Just like her tattoo says, she was lightning before the thunder.
This does not define me. This thing that happened, I was me before and I'm still me.
But the thunder roared February 24th of 2017.
I was traveling with 2 friends to Arizona for a Spartan race. It was actually the very first road trip I'd ever done.
6 hours in, they were rear-ended by an 18-year-old drunk driver. Luke Griffin could barely stand.
You all right, man?
He was 3 times the legal limit, driving more than 100 miles an hour.
Our car flipped about a quarter mile or so and landed very far away.
Griffin just stood there as witnesses ran to the car, helping in any way they could.
Yeah, I remember everything. I remember the police and the people that stopped to help us, talking to me, and I remember the ambulance ride, and my leg was broken pretty badly, so I remember them holding my leg and my bones crunching the whole way to the hospital.
7 broken ribs, a shattered tibia, a dislocated jaw. Kim lost her spleen and 16 inches of her large intestine.
That was the most excruciating pain I've ever been through in my life.
While she was fighting for her life, Griffin was much more concerned about his. But Kim was actually the lucky one.
I have an immense amount of survivor's guilt.
Karina Vaden died on that New Mexico highway.
I use her as my motivation, I guess, just to do what she can't do anymore.
3, 2, 1, go!
Great race, guys. Be safe. Take care of each other.
Now, a year and a half and 6 surgeries later, Kim is back on the course.
The minute I was able to walk, I walked. And I walked and I walked and I walked, and it built up my bones.
It's her therapy, but she's far from cured.
It's scary for me to drive still. I have a really hard time driving at night. I don't drive very far.
When the going gets tough, as it always does in races like this and in life, Karina's spirit serves as a guide.
I couldn't give up, and I wasn't going to let Karina down by giving up.
As for the teenager who took Karina's life and forever changed Kim's,
I'm not going to let the anger destroy me. I forgave him.
he got just 9 years in prison, but could be out in half that.
I had to let it go. I had no influence on what happened to him, and so I had to just let it go.
He's not the first drunk driver to take a life, and Kim knows he won't be the last.
I think people care, but they just don't care.
Still, Kim is using her strength and her story to help someone else make a better choice.
And I know 100 people could be listening, and I might get through to 2. But that's 2 people that I've made an impact on.
She says she owes that to her friend.
It's a trip these men and women will likely never forget.
We're about 32 minutes from the fog. From here on out, we're on off time.
From across the nation, they traveled hundreds of miles, from Michigan and Alabama, Florida, and Colorado. In all, 9 states were represented.
All right, we got a convoy coming in.
These individuals choosing to volunteer their time and money for a cause they strongly believe in.
Protecting our country is really important, and Border Patrol, they can't be everywhere at once, so people like us can come down here and help and put eyes on things and keep America a little bit safer.
Though they are dressed for war, their mission is much more tame.
What we do down here is not vigilante justice. We have no special privileges. We have no special laws given to us to do anything that any other citizen can or can't do. We have no power of arrest. We have no power of detainment. If you come across somebody, drug runner, illegal alien, human trafficking, our job is to observe. Our job is to collect as much information as we can. Our job is to track those folks, get a location, get it to the Border Patrol, and let the Border Patrol handle the arrest.
It's a far cry from what many think these men and women do.
Most people look at us like, we're a bunch of crazy knuckleheads and run around with guns and it's all about us and we want to fight the government.
You get people, going out saying, oh, you just want to go out and shoot Mexicans, which, isn't the case whatsoever.
In fact, they've never fired a shot.
Nobody from our organization has fired one shot at anybody down here. We have taken shots at us, but at those times we've determined that the threat wasn't great enough to return fire. Although there is a threat down here, it doesn't require you to go around just shooting at everything that moves. And I think that's where a lot of confusion comes from. People see rifles, they see the cannies, they see plate carriers, and they think that we're just down here trying to shoot somebody or hunt somebody, and it's far from the truth. This is protection for ourselves.
Because when you're taking on the cartels, the mission doesn't come without danger.
Is that a rifle?
It looks like it.
Sergeant Major!
Yes, he is. He's holding that up.
Sergeant Major, we think we see a rifle.
It appears that the camp is being watched. We just saw through the scopes that there's 3 people up on the hill, 2 possibly with rifles, and they are definitely keeping an eye on us.
As a team was sent to investigate, camp was put on lockdown.
The likelihood that it was cartel spotters, or how we call it, a soft probe. Basically, they're up there getting intelligence on us, seeing how many vehicles are in camp, how many personnel are in camp, and what we're up to.
No spotters were found, and though it might have been a false alarm this time, the 3%ers say they are certain they are being closely watched.
The cartel, we've done this enough, they know who we are, because we affect their pocketbook heavily while we're here. So if we're not prepared and we're not aware of that threat, we're going to come out on the losing end of that. And I don't want anybody leaving this operation with it, any holes in them. I want everybody to go home safe.
I put myself at risk because
No, but who else will? I served my country. I took an oath of enlistment to defend the Constitution and the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm bound by that oath till I take my last breath.
In 2016, U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized almost 8,000 pounds of drugs along the border and nearly $290,000 in cash per day. But while they are one of the world's largest law enforcement organizations, with 6,000 miles of international land borders and 2,000 miles of coastal border waters, they're still spread pretty thin.
It's really hard to cover such a vast area. So when we come down here, we shut down at least 7, 8, 20 miles of border fence. It creates a situation where the illegal immigrants or the cartel members, the drug runners, have to push to get away from us, and then they end up getting in Border Patrol's custody.
And it seems to work.
You got Border Patrol in country, you got a Border Patrol helo, and I got Border Patrol on horse rolling up on me right now. This is why we do what we do.
A Border Patrol agent told the 3% United Patriots that because they were in the area, the cartels were forced to use an old trail, and BP was able to bust 16 runners and recover a massive amount of drugs. On March 29th, the local paper reported Border Patrol recovered nearly 1,000 pounds of marijuana on the day mentioned, valued at more than $480,000.
To me, that's a mission accomplished down here. You know, it's just too bad we can't be here all the time, but I feel like we came down and we did our part.
They admit it's just a small dent in a much bigger problem, but they believe every little bit helps.
You got kids and children getting hold of this stuff, and if we can limit the amount of drugs coming in, it'll make it that much harder to get.
The 3% United Patriots say those who think they are racists, who are out to get Mexicans, have got it all wrong.
And I think it's something important for what we're doing out here to understand. We're not against Mexicans. We're not against Mexican citizens. We're against the illicit activity that goes out here. Drug smuggling, human trafficking, sex trade, all of that. That's what we're against.
There are virtually nobody crossing down here just looking for a better life. This is entirely drug country down here.
But they are a law-abiding organization, and anyone breaking the law should be prepared to face the consequences.
We are a country of rules. Those that have been here and have behaved and been good, I think there needs to be a way that they can stay legally, but they got to apply. There has to be a penalty that's got to get paid somehow.